Hey everybody, it's Aldo Gandhi, and I just want to let you know really quickly that our swag shop is reopened. DeepDishTees.com is where you go, and that's tees with T-E-E-S. Clever name, guys. They're the new home of our merchandise. You can get t-shirts, you can get caps, you can get coffee mugs, you can get hoodies, you can get all sorts of good stuff, and you'll help out the bar room with the purchase. So head over to DeepDishTees.com.
What's up and welcome back to Bardown Blackhawk Talk, episode number 14, presented by the Barroom Network. My name is Vinny Parisi, and this is my brother, Joey Parisi. And Joseph, if you had to go American or Italian for pizza, which would you consider it?
Probably, the pizza that I know and love, I'm going to say American.
I agree, actually. And this all started because of our pal, friend of the program, guest on the show, formerly White Sox Dave. He drafted pizza in the first round of their All-American draft. And they kind of gave him some flack for it because it's Italian. Like, it originated in Italy, but pizza as we know it today is American. That's just a fact.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I haven't listened yet. That kind of got me excited to listen because that's just something I could see Dave doing.
When intentionally just to piss people off.
Yeah, when you think of an American draft, I'm not thinking pizza. Like, you have to go outside of the box to think of that, and that's definitely a White Sox Dave move to do.
Yeah, but like everything he said is true, but I agree with you. So for people who don't know, pizza originated in Italy when they had extra dough and sauce and cheese that they didn't know what to do with. Like, they were done with the pasta, everything was in. They figured out a way. But pizza, as you eat it on Friday night while watching Friday Night Lights or whatever you do on Sundays, football pizza, deep dish, New York style. Like, there's a reason they're all named after places in America. Pizza, as you know it today, is American.
Yeah. While we're on the topic, what are you taking? One. What's you think America? What are you taking?
It's close for me, either baseball or football.
I guess you went with more of a sports.
That's what I do.
Yeah. I don't know.
If I'm taking like the categories were song, miscellaneous. I really like the song by Ray Charles that we listen to every 4th of July, the one that's in the Sandlot.
Yeah.
America the Beautiful or something like that.
That's tough. Baseball, that's actually a phenomenal pick.
If you're going miscellaneous, a movie like Miracle or like Top Gun. There are so many great, and then I think Monument was a category too. So, like, what's a good monument? The Hollywood sign, the Bell in Philly, the
Statue of Liberty.
Yeah,
my brain. This kind of shows what kind of guy I am. My brain instantly went to like a cheeseburger. I feel like a cheeseburger is like the most American.
I'm not going to tell you by who, but it was drafted.
Yeah. I feel like a cheeseburger, when you're talking food, like, is America to a T. Like, we were built on the cheeseburger.
Yeah, and I'm kind of happy we're opening the show with this because this is our last show before American Independence Day, the 4th of July. So we hope everybody has a safe, happy, healthy 4th of July this year. I love doing American shit. I like blowing off fireworks. I like watching football. I like pretending that we invented hockey because we're slowly but surely becoming better than the Canadians at the game as a country. They still have McDavid, so we need a guy like that. But still, like, just the football and the pizza. Shout out to Detroit style. Not a lot of people in this chat are going to be very appreciative of the great city of Detroit, but we've been there more than once. And I love a good Detroit style. Like, Jets pizza is amazing. It's almost, we're Sicilian, so Detroit style almost has like a Sicilian flavor to it. I love it.
You think Chicago style pizza, everyone's thinking deep dish, like a Chicago style. No, it's not. Deep dish Deep dish is good, and it's probably one of my favorite types of pizzas.
Yeah, it's great, but it's not Chicago's main pizza. It's tourist pizza.
You got those square cut, like more thinner style. That to me is just more
Chicago Tavern is Chicago pizza.
Yeah, exactly.
Square slices, yeah. It's like when you go to Nashville. You haven't been to Nashville yet. I've been there once, but we will be going. We'll talk about that later in the show, why we're going to be going. You go to Hattie B's for Nashville hot chicken, which is another just great American thing, is chicken wings. Don't get me started. But like the Hattie B's is like the touristy one where like the locals will say, hey, you should go to this one. This is where the real chicken's at. Like it's one of those kinds of things.
Yeah. I mean, do we need to start a food podcast? Because not only am I getting hungry, but we can do a whole show about just food.
Well, that's one thing like most people can relate to. Most people like to eat. Not, me and you are both kind of like into the health and fitness a little bit, especially lately. But outside, like on cheat days, nobody beats Vinny and Joey in terms of fun when it comes to eating. And we could talk about it for days.
I mean, we went to town at the White Sox game.
Well, you know how like when you used to write in high school, like you'd write papers and they always wanted to get an attention grabber.
Yeah.
There's not much of a better like attention grabber than talking about something delicious for people to think about eating before we start getting into the hockey. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Bottom of your screen, you'll see we have a special Foods Bulls 101 show tonight at 7 p.m. So make sure you're tuning in to Bulls 101 tonight, 7 p.m. Central.
Yeah, maybe they'll give us a ring and we could give our analysis on gas station snacks and our thoughts on pizza and chicken wings.
Yeah, give us a call. We'll be watching Game 2 of the Stanley Cup. We'll get into that later.
Absolutely. So, but before that, we're going to have somewhat of a tough conversation. So let's head on over to period number 1. And let's talk some hockey. But first, we're going to get into the local team, the team that plays in our backyard, the Chicago Blackhawks. We'll open it up with what should be considered good news, and that is the captain, Jonathan Toews, announced what has been going on throughout the past year with him and his health and all that. And he released this video this morning to discuss it.
It's definitely nice to be back in Chicago, see some of the guys again. I just think there's a lot of things that just kind of piled up where my body just fell apart. And so what they're calling it was chronic immune response syndrome, where I just couldn't quite recover, and my immune system was reacting to everything that I did, any kind of stress, anything that I would do throughout the day. Just there was always kind of that stress response. So it took some time, and that was the frustrating part, was not really knowing when or how we were going to get over the hump. But thankfully, I got a great support team of people that helped me through it, and learned a lot about just the stress I put on my body over the years. And I wasn't too vocal about the things that I went through this year, and definitely want to thank the fans. I mean, my teammates, the organization, Rocky, Stan, Jeremy, everybody, and the fans especially. I think talked about the things that you appreciate and things that you maybe take for granted, but I think that's the biggest thing, is you realize there's more life than hockey. But I'm excited to get back to the United Center and play and just go out there and have fun. And I think my best is going to come through, and excited to get back in front of the fans.
I think it's fair to say that in 50 years, you'll remember Toews as one of your more favorite players throughout your life.
Oh yeah, a sure shot retired number, probably a statue. Best Blackhawks ever play the game.
He's probably going to go to the Hall of Fame. I don't know about first ballot, but he's probably going to go to the Hall of Fame.
I would say he 100% goes to the Hall of Fame.
His offensive numbers are like right there for a borderline Hall of Famer, but he's got the Selke Trophy, the 3 Stanley Cups, Olympic gold. Who knows what's left in the future? He'll probably be under point a game in his career by the time it's all said and done. But like as of right now, he's right there. So I don't know. I'm very happy to hear this news.
Mm-hmm.
He
called it chronic immune. One more time. I remember what he said, and I forgot.
What'd you say?
What's it called? Chronic immune syndrome.
Chronic immune response syndrome.
Immune response syndrome. I have no idea what that is. I would, as much as I would love to play doctor and know exactly what that entails. I tried doing a little bit of research on it, but
he described it as like anytime he tried to do anything, his immune system reacted poorly to it.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen a bunch of other stuff, and a lot of times it gets misdiagnosed as like depression, anxiety, and stuff like that. So I mean, kind of went hand in hand with a lot of the rumors we heard early on. I don't want to say like it's good news because it seems like he is recovering and it's not anything too serious. So I guess it's good news that it's that instead of some of the other rumors we've heard. And the best news that comes out of it is that he's confident he'll be ready to play in game 1, which is huge for the Chicago Blackhawks.
The best thing you could do in these situations is not speculate with someone's health, because then something like this could come out and you'll look like a fool.
Exactly.
So
there's nothing to be taken lightly. This is obviously a serious thing. It kept him out an entire year, but I'm happy it's that and not some of the more negative things we've heard.
Absolutely. And he believes that he's ready to play in the upcoming season, which we'll get into Commissioner Bettman's little preview before the Stanley Cup final, where he basically announced when the season was going to start. Toews also claims that he's excited to get back to the United Center and play, and he didn't have to play in front of an empty building. That's, I guess, a positive out of the whole thing. By the time we get back, that stadium's going to be rocking loud, but you also have to wonder, and this is where we kind of go downhill a little bit, you have to wonder if it's a cover-up. Not a cover-up, but more of a PR distraction, like, oh, we're so happy for Toews, because you should be happy for Toews. Mm-hmm. He's a human being. He's a great player. He's been the captain of the franchise forever now. But they announced it at a very convenient time, and that's because the Blackhawks organization is going through a sexual assault allegation. What were you going to say?
Oh, I thought you were done. It's a mess is what I was going to say, but I'll let you continue. We'll get into it.
For those who don't know, former assistant coach, I believe he was a video coach, Brad Aldridge, had sexual assault issues with 2 former players that played on the 2010 Stanley Cup champion team. And there was an incident in between the second round and the conference finals. And I can't remember who they played in the second round. I want to say it was the Vancouver Canucks. And then the third round was against the San Jose Sharks before getting to the Philadelphia Flyers in the Stanley Cup final. And there were issues with pornography and oral sex and stuff like that that led to these players having issues, and they brought it to the attention of the organization, and they did nothing. They kind of backdoored him out. Obviously, he didn't stick around after the 2010 Cup. But if you look at the picture of their Stanley Cup championship celebration, he's in it. And Brad Aldridge was then allowed to leave without any sort of punishment or anything like that. So he moves on to be a youth coach, where, to the surprise of no one, he had issues with minors in terms of sexual assault as well. And he's been convicted of it, and there are just so many negative things surrounding this guy right now. And the Blackhawks as an organization look terrible for it because they did nothing, and it affected youth of other children in other states. Those parents are now suing the Blackhawks for allowing this guy to get out without any issues. So, I mean, it's tough to talk about. What's your take on the whole thing?
Yeah, there's one huge detail you left out, and it's sickening. And it's that the Blackhawks not only let him leave to go work somewhere else with youth people, they referenced him to go work in a youth hockey development program. So, I mean, it's kind of sickening. Whoever thought it would be okay if they knew everything was true about the, allegations against him, and they reference him to then go work with another organization, knowing it'd be involved with youth hockey development, they almost were like setting it up to happen. And it did, unfortunately. And now, people suffered for it. And it's not a good position for the Chicago Blackhawks management staff.
And you've seen many people throughout the organization or that used to be with it, like Don Torchetti, or is it John Torchetti? I don't remember.
John Torchetti.
John Torchetti. He was the Wild's head coach there for a while. He said that every single person on the team, the players, the management, the coach, they all knew it. And nobody said anything. The kids who had this done to them, I'm talking the players, you don't make any speculation on who it was. We're not trying to do that here. But you assume that if you're trying to make your way in the league, you're not going to be very vocal about things. This is the best league in the world. You finally made it. Some people don't feel comfortable potentially ruining that because of this. And it's just disgusting. It's time for the Blackhawks to clean house. If Stan Bowman knew what was going on, I want him gone. John McDonough's already gone. If there's any way that owner Rock Wirtz knew what was going on, it's time for Commissioner Bettman to get involved and remove him. This organization is about to go through a massive overhaul if any of this stuff comes out. And quite frankly, it's disgusting. It's hard to even consider supporting them in any way.
I agree. I would actually be shocked if all those names you just mentioned are still with the team come game 1 of the 2022 season.
And here's where we run into an issue. The draft is in 2 weeks. Free agency's in 3. You're going to let Stan Bowman do that and then potentially fire him a week later? He kind of sucks at his job in general, like all this aside. Like, I just don't understand how this could have gone this long without anyone saying anything. Did Joe Quenneville know something? Did he keep his mouth shut? So many, like, keeping your mouth shut is horrible. Like, yes, you risk losing your job. And it seems like anytime somebody interferes with the Blackhawks ways or like disagrees with them, they're out.
Yeah. It's almost like being a bystander when something bad happens. Like, this is something, obviously in 2010, that's something that's bigger than the game. Like, these allegations, sexual misconduct, like, that is bigger than the game of hockey, and action should have been taken then, regardless of who knew about it. And it didn't, and they let it go 10, 11 years now. And now look, there's lawsuits. It doesn't look good on the Blackhawks. It actually looks terrible on the Blackhawks that they let this guy, instead of taking action and instead of being a bystander, they let him go to another, organization with dealing with youth hockey, let alone. And you knew what he did. You knew the kind of stuff that he was guilty of, and everyone just kept their mouth shut. And the poor person who was victimized in the youth program suffered directly because of the Chicago Blackhawks.
And it affects them for the rest of their life. That's the thing that's sad. There are lots of famous examples of this happening throughout the history of not only sports, but the world. The first one that comes to my brain is Penn State, when Jerry Sandusky did all these things to those, people, and the coach, Joe Paterno, he apparently knew about it and never said anything. So it's very tough to have to deal with this as people. Like, we're not into hockey without those Blackhawks teams.
Oh, yeah.
And when you hear people like Daniel Carcillo, who was on the Flyers at the time, who the Blackhawks beat in the Stanley Cup final that year, they all knew. Apparently there were rumors going around the league in general that this was going on. And it's really sad that this goes on in hockey. It seems to be an issue in hockey more than any other sport. And, the other sports aren't perfect, but when it comes to these assault allegations, it's like, dude, stand up for something. Like, the Blackhawks, do something about it now. They haven't even made a statement now. Like, where is Danny Wirtz right now? Where has he been throughout all this? Why hasn't Stan Bowman said anything? No, instead we're going to try to upsell season tickets on social media and allow Toews to announce that he's coming back, which, again, nothing against Jonathan Toews. If he knew, I'm kind of disappointed in him. But, like, that's the thing people don't realize. You can't think of today's Jonathan Toews or today's Patrick Kane when talking about 2009, 2010. Those guys were 20, 21 at that time. They were trying to make their way in the league just as much. They hadn't had the Hall of Fame careers that they went on to eventually have yet. And, would the Blackhawks have won the Stanley Cup in 2010 had this all been put out there? Maybe not, but it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's terrible. There's really not much more to be said about it other than, like, it's going to be what already was going to be an interesting offseason for the Chicago Blackhawks is going to be even more interesting now.
Rock Wirtz can make a statement here, because let me make this very, very clear. The Blackhawks, as we stand right now, are the worst organization in the National Hockey League. It used to be the Ottawa Senators because their owner's a mess too. Buffalo Sabres are up there too, but hey, the Blackhawks would rather be them right now. Stan Bowman has fucked everything up. They stink. They traded away Teuvo Teravainen. They traded away Nicholas Hjalmarsson. Philip Denault is a superstar Selke type trophy guy. Artemi Panarin is consistently one of the best players in the league. You can argue he's just as good as Patrick Kane now. like not career wise, but like right now. It's just a mess. Like you have every excuse in the world to just clean house. This was all so bad. There's the hockey side of things, and as Aldo said in the chat, the Hawks won once a model of consistency and efficiency and success, and now it's all out the drain. They have to start from scratch. And you know what? They also think their shit don't stink. They think they're like one of these like top organizations in Chicago. They're not. If they stink again, they're not going to sell out. They have the diehards. Me and you will go to games. Maybe now I kind of really don't want to, but we'll see what they do in response to this. But it's sickening. They're not one, like it's the Bears and the Cubs are leading the way, and then the Bulls and the White Sox. There's no saying that those teams aren't more popular than the Blackhawks. Just because you're near the top of revenue in the NHL in terms of American teams, like big freaking whip. You live in the city with the 5 million people. It's hard to deal with this right now, and just seeing all the things that have happened on and off the ice, it's sickening.
Another thing I feel like would have kind of eased the tension a little bit is right when this stuff happens, you got your owner, you got your chairman, someone call a press conference, make a statement, say we're looking into it internally. But no, they have sat there and done absolutely nothing about it. And to me, that just screams guilt. It screams embarrassment. And it's bad luck for the Chicago Blackhawks.
What would you do other than the press conference thing? Would you get rid of them all?
Yeah, but who gets rid of them? If Rock Warts knew what was, he's just as bad.
Okay, so we'll get into this now. We're going to touch on it more in period 2. But Gary Bettman had his press conference yesterday, and every 5th question was about what's going on with the Blackhawks, and he did not seem thrilled to be answering any of them. He gave the typical political response, like, we'll wait till the facts come out. When we feel we need to step in, we will. So they're going to need to step in. Don't be surprised to hear Commissioner Bettman or Deputy Commissioner Bill Daley chime in at some point and force something. Because we've seen it in every sport. I'm not going to sit here and act like hockey's the only one. When Donald Sterling decided to go on his racial slur stint back in the day, the former Clippers owner, it was one of the first real things that Adam Silver did as commissioner of the NBA was get his ass out of town, force him to sell the team. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, who would have thought too?
I know. Because they were so good. They were so good.
Not only were they the best team one of the best teams of the decade.
I would say they were the best team of the decade.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they have the most cups.
Pittsburgh had 3. One was in 2009, so it don't really count. But even in the years they didn't win, like Pittsburgh had a couple years where they were bad in the middle. Like
the end of the decade might have hurt the Blackhawks a little bit.
Yeah, but nobody stepped up to pass them.
Yeah, that's true too.
Like the teams that won late in the decade were the Blues, who had 1, and then they were mostly a failure throughout most of the decade. Washington probably wishes they had more than 1 throughout the Ovechkin era. I mean,
you could argue
Tampa Bay even.
You could argue Boston. They didn't win the multi. They won the 1, and then they've been there 3 times. So
yeah, but I think having the head-to-head victory,
gives
it to the Blackhawks. And then the Kings, they were even with the Kings, but the Kings didn't get the 3rd. And even the years they didn't win early, like in 16 and 17, they won the West in 17 in the regular season. Yeah, people remember them getting swept by Nashville, but they were so good with Hossa and Keith and Toews. Every single night they had a chance to win.
Yeah, and this seems like a very, organizational problem. I wouldn't necessarily go out and start slandering all those great players that we love and watch dominate, but at the same time, being a bystander, if it's true that everyone knew about it, being a bystander is just as bad as you're part of the problem. Being a bystander is what I'm trying to say. So I'm not going to shit on these players, but if they knew, do you look at them a little differently? How many players knew? What did they know? How long did they know? There's a million questions that we'll never probably know the answers to, but I agree from your original question. What do? I think it's time to clean house. Start fresh. Look toward the future, and hopefully it gets put behind you.
Do you consider them a bad organization now? Because they're cutting ties with Pat Foley. That's obvious. We just got word that Chris Bowden, the pre and post game host, his position is being eliminated due to COVID related financial losses. And he went on to thank the organization and John Weidman, who's the announcer. It's unbelievable what's going on with this team. And I would like to know if you believe the dynasty is being tarnished now. People are going to look at it differently. And if they're just a bad organization in terms of how they're run.
Okay, I agree with one of those. I think they are a bad organization with how they're run. These things aren't being answered. The no statement thing. It's bad.
And the hockey ops too.
What's up?
And the hockey ops.
Yeah, they need a change big time. Now to take away your first question about their dynasty, these players are Hall of Fame players. They are some of the best talent we've seen on the ice. Aside from all the bullshit that happened in the offices, you can't take away these Hall of Fame guys and the greatness that we've been privileged to watch. So,
yeah, but if this thing comes out and it leads to Wirtz or Bowman, McDonough's already gone, there'll be that thought about they were so good on the ice, but off the ice, they let this happen to those poor kids. It's gonna that sits with people, dude.
I know.
I think of what's happening with the Bulls dynasty. It's not quite to that level. All of a sudden, Scottie Pippen is claiming that Phil Jackson's a racist and every play he set up was for a white man to hit the game winner. It's crazy what's going on with the Hawks right now.
Yeah, and things aren't. It's not like even things are necessarily on the rise for this organization. So it kind of is just happening at such a bad time. You think that they're on the downward slope, and then you think eventually, okay, they're going to start trending back up, but that slope just went underground. It's going even lower. So
Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews, and Duncan Keith only have 2 years left on their deal. Keith is going to retire. He's 38, or he'll be 38 by the start of the year. I forget when his birthday is. Toews and Kane, they're still both real. Well, Kane we know is a top 10 offensive player. We'll see what happens when Toews comes back, but there's no future. Their best young players, Doc DeBrincat and Doc, and neither of them have anything else around them. And they might trade Doc. I would trade Doc for Eichel, but.
Well, I was just going to bring that up. You look at some of these free agents that we've talked about in the past couple weeks. If you're Seth Jones, are you looking at this and be like, okay, these Blackhawks haven't said a shit. I'm not signing there. This is fucked up. Jack Eichel, is he gonna? I don't know. He's probably got a no move clause. I'm assuming. Is he gonna waive it to go to the Chicago Blackhawks?
No, there's no movement clause if you're 22.
He can't. Jack Eichel can just straight up get traded to any team.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
you get no move clauses on that big contract you signed later.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's a big contract.
It is a big contract, but I'm pretty sure McDavid doesn't. No one trading McDavid, but you get what I'm saying.
That's but yeah, good luck trying to sign a big name free agent with all this shit under your belt now, under your roof, in the offices. Until this gets cleared, good luck signing that big name, because this is not a good look on your organization.
Yeah. It's sad. It's so sad because, like you said, they were so damn good. And no one could take away from how great they were. They were good in their own zone. Their system was awesome. Joel Quenneville implemented it coming over from St. Louis. And the way that, what's his name, Dale Talon drafted, anyone who even slightly follows hockey would have drafted Patrick Kane first overall after watching what he did for the London Knights. But taking Toews third, who ended up probably being the best or second best player from that draft, they ended up with Keith in the second round in 2002, drafting Brent Seabrook in 2003, Crawford. There was just so much good. The greatest free agent signing in the history. Let me make this very clear. The greatest free agency signing in the history of Chicago sports is Marian Hossa. I know some Cub fans will say John Lester. He's right there. But Marian Hossa was a beast. He was a mix of Toews and Kane, and people don't even realize it. And he won 3 to Lester's 1. So it was great in terms of hockey ops until it wasn't. And now this is tarnishing it even further.
Yeah. And I agree with what Santiago said. He said admitting mistakes now puts them in high financial liability. They really fucked up. And that's pretty much, that's a good way to put it. They fucked up. They're in a hole now that it's going to be hard to talk your way out of, because, you know, everything that they've done by not doing anything just is a terrible, terrible look.
Yeah. And they're going to have to dig themselves out of it. And there might be some empty buildings in the meantime.
Yep.
We'll go when they play the Devils and the Bruins, and maybe opening night, but definitely going to be tough to do anything to support them. I mean, are you running out the door to buy a Blackhawks jersey right now after hearing what they allowed to happen?
Absolutely not. And I want one too, but like,
me too. Those black
ones. Who knows? Like, this is such a big deal. Like, you never know what's going to happen with this team.
Yeah, I know. It's sad. So we hope that justice prevails. Whatever happened back in 2010, hopefully it leads to change and the Blackhawks can get back to not being a complete dumpster fire of an organization from top to bottom.
Yep.
To kind of take us back down, we're going to have a little more fun in the second period. Let's get off to a quick commercial break.
Baseball at the Barroom. On Monday nights, get ready for the Friendly Confines Extra Innings. It's 30 minutes, it's clever, it's concise, and it's all Cubs coverage. That's followed by a killer White Sox show, South Burbs Hitmen. Then on Thursday afternoon, it's Cubs and Sox opinions and analysis with Crosstown Crosstalk. Baseball at the Barroom. Join us live and or on demand.
And make sure you visit deepdishtees.com for all of your Barroom Network needs.
That baseball commercial was fucking sick.
I couldn't agree more. I need that in Twitter form so I can tweet it.
Yeah.
That was so cool because it's like the Cubs show, the White Sox show, and then there's our show, like just the mix of them both. It was just so cool. I loved every second of it. And like just the soft little like music playing in the background, like it gets you hype.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, it's like that like hype video kind of commercial.
Oh, while we're in this conversation, make sure you tune in tomorrow at 2 p.m. where this show will just be a baseball version, Crosstown Crosstalk. We got lots of stuff to talk about there. Lucas Giolito going absolutely bananas after the post game yesterday. And I know the Cubs aren't going to lose the game today that they started winning 7-0 in the first inning. There's just no way that the Brewers come back and win right now. Just no shot that happens. So for that, we talk about period number 2. And we kind of hinted at it in period number 1, talking about Commissioner Bettman's press conference with all the Blackhawks nonsense. But we're going to move on and talk about some of the more fun things that Mr. Bettman had to say. And we'll lead off with the NHL's Winter Classic. We didn't get one this year because of COVID-19 and all the stuff that was canceled because of that. The one that was supposed to be on January 1st, 2021 is now going to be held on January 1st, 2022 at Target Field in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the home of the Minnesota Twins, where the St. Louis Blues will play the Minnesota Wild. What do you think?
I absolutely love the way it looks when there's a hockey rink on a baseball field.
It's a little different.
It's different.
Less likely too.
And if there's a Winter Classic of recent years I want to go to, it's this one. It's going to be sick. We saw you were at the Stadium Series in Minnesota.
I've been to 3 outdoor hockey games.
Yeah, you.
I don't know how. I'm not like rich or anything. I just find a way to go every time.
Who were the Wild even playing? Was it
The Wild were playing the Blackhawks.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
And
they won 6-1.
they wore their like North Stars jerseys. Or
That was for the
the whatever you call it. Yeah, the alumni game. There you go. But those were sick. I remember you went to that. Didn't you go to that?
Mm-hmm.
And
Nick Boss, shout out Nick.
Yeah, and that was in Minnesota. What I'm getting at, that was in Minnesota, but the fact that it's going to Minnesota again for the Winter Classic, which we've always agreed the Winter Classic is king. The Stadium Series will never, the hype around them will never be the same. You know, yeah, we always get together on a Saturday night. Sometimes they start at 7 p.m. Sometimes they're during the day, 2 p.m. start. Those Stadium Series are awesome. They're not the Winter Classic. They never will be. Those January 1st, you're a little hungover from New Year's Eve. You wake up 11 a.m. or whatever, you have some breakfast, and you sit down and watch the Winter Classic. It's one of our favorite traditions that we do together. The last time we were able to do it, weren't we there at Notre Dame?
That was 2 years ago. I remember we had our pal Dylan over, and we watched
that's right, because
the Dallas Stars play against the Nashville Predators, and that's where Corey Perry got thrown out in the first game, and it became a meme on Twitter for like 2 months.
Yeah, the 2020, I forgot the 2020 Winter Classic happened because COVID was just a few months after that.
The only normal months of 2020 were January and February.
Yeah. So, but yeah, 2 years ago going to Notre Dame, like that was a nice little twist on our tradition. But I'm excited. You asked me to go to Target Field. My answer is a hard yes.
Okay, well, we can actually make that happen because I would love to go, especially if the Wild don't get rid of Zach Parise. I'm fully in on going to cheer on the Wild against the Blues. And one I already have in the works for us to go to, kind of some breaking news to Joey and the fans, because we'll obviously get great content out of going to both of these games. Joey brought it up, the NHL's Stadium Series. I don't know who's sponsoring it anymore. I almost called it the Coors Light Stadium Series. Credit Union.
Navy
Federal Credit Union. There you go. See, that's why we work as a team, man. That's what sports are all about, working as a team. The Nashville Predators are going to host the Tampa Bay Lightning on February 26th at Nissan Stadium, home of the Tennessee Titans. That one I can confirm is already in the works. We have a couple buddies who want to go. What do you think of that game?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, not as cool as the Winter Classic, but Tampa Bay Lightning, Nashville, in an outdoor game where the Titans play, you know, the building will probably be like 10 times louder than that Twins park.
Yeah. Like you brought it up, I don't mean to interrupt, but you said it's better at a baseball field optics wise. Yeah, I understand why they mostly choose football stadiums though, because they can just sell way more tickets.
I never said it's better optic wise. I just think it looks sick. There's a chance we go to that game or you go.
Wise means give them a penalty.
No, what are you talking about?
When I say optics wise, like what it looks like.
Yeah, but no, I thought you meant optics wise, like you're sitting.
Well, guys, 5 minutes each for fighting.
I thought you meant optic wise, like you're sitting there, how well you can see the ice. Because that might suck. You might be third base line, you could barely see shit. You're watching the whole game on the Tron.
I'm trying. I've been
Blackhawks. You haven't been to a baseball field.
I have not been to a baseball field for an outdoor game.
There's a good chance that view is going to suck.
Notre Dame, Soldier Field, and the University of Minnesota.
Of all the highlights, we had to pick the worst Winter Classic of my life. This day sucked. Oh, my God. That jersey's sick. I have it. I could go throw on my Tuukka Rask jersey right there, but Tuukka Rask did not show up to play. That sucked.
Brad Marchand kind of screwed him, too, by getting suspended the day before.
He got suspended. Jimmy Hayes got in a fight, right, and got a game misconduct or something.
Yeah, but that probably actually helped the Bruins.
No, I know, but it just showed how the day was going. Or
that right there, this clip of Pavel Datsyuk skating through the Blackhawks defense to score at Wrigley Field. That's probably, in my opinion, the second best Winter Classic. My favorite one is the one between the Red Wings and the Maple Leafs at the Big House where the University of Michigan football team plays. That personally is my favorite because I want to say it's the highest attended hockey game in the history of the sport because it holds that many people, 120,000, I think the Big House holds, and it was a blizzard. So it was just a great game. I always find it funny when I see people wearing Marian Hossa 2009 Winter Classic jerseys because you know they're fake right away because Marian Hossa was on the Red Wings in that game.
Yeah. But they did wear those jerseys as third jerseys a couple of times. So I think he did wear that style jersey a couple of times, but it's not a jersey I'd get. That's for sure. This was my favorite Winter Classic up until we went in 2019, and I'm not just saying that. Like, I feel like a lot of people will have that one as one of their favorite Winter Classics, as from an outside. Like, if you're not a fan of any of the teams who've ever played in the Winter Classic, that might be a lot of people's favorite. The optics at Notre Dame, the marching band, the whole Irish theme that they went with, it was awesome. And the fact that it was Boston winning against the Chicago Blackhawks, like, come on now.
Yeah, I feel like Boston and Chicago both have a nice Irish theme too. Like both have a good Irish heritage. So, it was just a lot of fun. We were both there. The Blackhawks are 0-3 at games I went to in the outdoor. I was rooting for the Wild in one of them, but did I wear a Bruins jersey at Notre Dame? I think.
Yeah, damn straight you did. Do we need to pull up the picture?
I think I did.
We'll find a picture of us at Notre Dame and you in your Bruins gear. But our first game, not to mention Stadium Series, shout out to our good close friend John, taking us to Soldier Field to see the Blackhawks play the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2000.
They win that game. You're right.
They did in 2013. I think that was the short year, or the year after the short
2014.
Year?
Yeah,
2014. The year
after the Olympics. It was like their third game back from the Olympics.
That was also the debut of the Stadium Series that season. That was the same year that the New York Rangers played the New Jersey Devils and the New York Islanders at Yankee Stadium.
You are correct.
I know.
It was funny because Crosby and Taves were like playing on the same power play in Sochi like a week before this game.
Yeah, we were at this game, and that'll always be. You say about the Big House, like, this was awesome. We were freezing. We were getting blizzarded on. That's even a word.
Blizzarded on. That's your cousin Nick Wayne's mask that JR is wearing right there.
Yeah, shout out to
people. Not a lot of people know that. Our cousin Nick Wayne let him wear that mask. I don't know where he is in that video, but it's just so funny that he wore Nicky's mask in that clip. But it was just a great game. I love that this conversation came out after the news of the press conference, because we need outdoor hockey like we need air. The Lake Tahoe one was beautiful on television, but there was unable to have any fans because of COVID-19. So next year, me and Joey, there's a good chance we'll be at both of those games.
Shout out Lake Tahoe. Here is a little vial of the ice played at Lake Tahoe. Shout out my friend Dylan. One of the best birthday gifts I've ever received. David Pasternak. Don't slight that Lake Tahoe game, because that visually was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Absolutely. And before we get into the rest of the NHL news, why don't you give a little shout out to David Pasternak?
Yes, David Pasternak. I mean, we were just having such a good role talking, uplifting stuff. We got all the depressing stuff out of the way. But yes, a heartbreaking story of David Pasternak and his wife, girlfriend, I don't really know, Rebecca. They lost their three-day-old son. I think he was 3. Vigo was his name, and no one will understand what it's like to lose a newborn child of that age. So, I mean, our thoughts and prayers go out to the Pasternak family.
Absolutely. And David Pasternak will more than likely be an all-star next season, and it will be held in Viva Las Vegas. Now, would I love to go to that in between both outdoor games that we're going to attend? Of course I would. That one might be a little tougher, but the Vegas Golden Knights will host the 2022 Honda NHL All-Star Weekend at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. No dates or anything have been announced yet, but you assume it'll be somewhere in the middle of February. I have a feeling the Olympic schedule will have some sort of influence on that, if they go or not. But it will be in Vegas, and excited for it.
Gary Bettman seems to be going no holds barred on the cool shit, because, like, us fans, we deserve it. We've had a long time coming for these eventful games. And what better place to have that party all-star weekend than Vegas? The NHL awards are going to be awesome. Or not the NHL awards, the skills competition is probably my favorite part of all-star weekend, is that NHL skills competition. And that crowd at T-Mobile Arena is going to be into it. There's going to be a lot of fans from a lot of different teams, which is not something you normally see. But yeah, Vegas packs house, but there are going to be a lot of fans for the whole NHL at the T-Mobile Arena.
Snowbirds love to hit Vegas in the middle of February. February in Chicago. Listen, I don't love summer, especially Monday through Friday. I always say the best days of summer are some of the best days of the year. But I also think like Monday through Friday, like just the grind of summer absolutely stinks. But there's something about February that just absolutely stinks too. Like it's the worst part of winter. And us snowbirds getting over to Vegas for a week in February, that would be pretty sweet. So maybe we'll try and make that happen. I'm all about the content. I like making videos. I like recording myself talking to my phone. No better place to do that than these events that will be taking place in the good old US of A next season.
Yeah, I'm going to, I got to find a side hustle or something. I need to make some money to afford to go all because, you go to the All-Star weekend in Vegas. That's a pretty penny that you're not only going to the All-Star weekend, you're hitting the casinos,
Shit, you're talking about coming back with money. I'm talking about coming back alive if we went to Vegas.
No, I'm saying I'm going to need money to be able to go to all these games and events.
I know, but that's if I make it back alive, I would need money.
I guess.
We would just have a freaking blast if they went to Vegas. The Heritage Classic. They didn't say who or when or where, but they said they're working on it. And Elliot Friedman pretty much confirmed that they're going to for sure have one, and it'll be in the second half of the season. What would you like to see and where?
Now I'm thinking about the strip bars I'd be going to in Vegas. Thanks, Aldo, for putting that up. But it's easy. You want the Battle of Alberta. You want a Calgary, Edmonton outdoor Heritage Classic. I don't care where it's at.
In Red Deer, so Rick from Red Deer can show.
Yeah, something like that. Come on.
Here we go, boys.
That's the only answer, right?
That's what I would choose. I was thinking the exact same thing. That's exactly what I was going to say. The Battle of Alberta. They're the two like country-esque Canadian teams, like just the tobacco farmers getting out there and cheering on the Flames and the Oilers.
You thought the rivalry was going to be, a couple of years ago it was must watch. Those games are must watch. So you thought with this whole division only Canada division that these teams playing each other 9 times, it would be all of that, but it wasn't. It kind of sucked this year. I'm not going to say it sucked. It had its moments.
Yeah, you need fans.
You need fans. The empty barns, the teams played each other a little too often, I think. It wasn't.
I need like a sporadic Saturday night where like the Flames are in town to play the Oilers.
Mm-hmm. Or something big happens. Like if something big happened this year, most likely they played them the next day or a couple days after that. Like
they didn't have a game against Ottawa in between to like get ready.
What I want is an October night, these teams are playing each other. Something big happens, and now you got to wait a month for them to finally meet up, and that's you let all that tension build up, and then they meet each other Saturday in November, and something explodes. You get line brawls. The Battle of Alberta was not like it was 2 years ago, or I guess right before COVID was when it was at its peak.
Like right before. They had a game in mid-February where Kachuk and Zach Kassian, the Flames need to not stink next year too. Let's not act like one of the teams being trash is really helpful.
And I'm not downplaying how it was this year. It was still a rivalry. They still don't.
COVID season, it was fine.
Yeah, and there were still fights. There were still some brawls that happened. So, you don't have to go ahead and point out like, it happened a lot. It wasn't the same with no fans. Expect it to be kind of reinvigorated next year, and I would love to see it continue in an outdoor Heritage Classic.
I couldn't agree more.
Or second option, depending, Montreal, what kind of team season they're having right now, and we'll see what kind of team they are. I wouldn't be surprised if they're involved in it as well, if it's not the Battle of Alberta.
Yeah. Really quick, you made me think. I have a dream winter classic in mind, and neither of my two favorite teams are involved in it. Do you have one in mind?
A dream winter classic?
Mm-hmm. While you think, I'll give mine. They have already had a game at Michigan. We saw the highlights. We talked about it. I would love to see the NHL recreate my favorite college rivalry. It should be everyone's favorite college rivalry in football, and that's Michigan-Ohio State. I would love to see, because I'm pretty sure hockey's the only sport with a team in Columbus. Every other Ohio team plays in either Cleveland or Cincinnati. So I would love to see the Columbus Blue Jackets host the Detroit Red Wings at Buckeye Stadium, the Shoe, and recreate the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry. Columbus is a lot of fun to go to. I always say it's like a mix of DeKalb and Chicago because it's like a college town with high rises. And I would just love to see them recreate that for the Winter Classic. That would be my ultimate pick. So Gary Bettman, I know you're watching. Give me a game at the Shoe between the Blue Jackets and the Red Wings.
Yeah, that would be sick. I've always had this idea that a Stadium Series game, and I would want this to be Stadium Series. I wouldn't want it to be the Winter Classic. We saw a Stadium Series game. I think it was in 2015 or something. It was the Anaheim Ducks played the Los Angeles Kings. Jonas Hiller got a shutout, I think, goalie for the...
It was that 2014 season where they had like 5 of them.
Was that season?
Yeah.
You have the Corey Perry shirt for that? Yep. That was sick. And ever since then, I've wanted a Florida Stadium Series. I know the technology's there. I know it's possible. You can have
there according to them.
Yeah, you can have an outdoor game in Florida and give me a Tampa Bay Lightning, Florida Panthers. We saw how insane that playoff series was this year. First time they've ever played each other in the playoffs. So I would love to see a Stadium Series. You're thinking Winter Classic. A team that has yet to host it or even be involved in it. I don't think at least the Colorado Avalanche have not been in a Winter Classic. Only a Stadium Series.
Stadium Series, but yeah.
And you're going to love this. I would love them to play the New Jersey Devils. The Devils have never been involved. They're natural rivals for whether you like the reason or not. They are rivals. They barely play each other. I think that would be a cool Winter Classic. So that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, I actually really like that answer. So hopefully Gary's listening and we can make stuff like that happen.
Yeah.
We had some NHL awards come out yesterday. And we could start off with the obvious. We were fairly confident that Kirill Kaprizov was going to win the Calder Trophy as the league's top rookie. What's your takeaway from Kirill the Thrill?
Yeah, it was one of the easiest awards that we were able to predict. He's 24 years old. I looked up his stats. He didn't have he had an okay playoffs. He had 2 goals and 1 assist. It definitely could have been better, but they did.
They focused in on him.
Yeah, they
that's what they do.
He was a big part of where they got, having 51 points in only 55 games played, and those numbers as a rookie are not anything to ignore. And he deserved that Calder Trophy for sure.
Absolutely. There's not much more to say. It was obvious. There was nobody else that was even going to come close to winning. I actually have the ballot available. He won it by a pretty wide margin. He had 997 points. Second place, Jason Robertson had 689. Yeah. So he won it by over 300 points. He actually was 1 vote away from being the unanimous winner. 99 of the 100 people that voted for the Calder Trophy voted for him. 1 person voted for Robertson to win it, and thus Kirill came in second on that ballot. So it was like, imagine being that one guy who just was the one idiot who didn't vote for him to win the Calder Trophy.
Yeah. You could argue he was, the MVP of their team. I don't think there's much of an argument. He was the MVP of the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah. We can actually talk about that because I have next is the Hart Trophy as the league's MVP. That goes to Connor McDavid, who, really quick before I get into McDavid and his numbers, Kirill Kaprizov received a 4th place vote and a 5th place vote for the Hart Trophy.
Exactly.
And Patrick Kane also tied with him for 15th place with 1 4th place vote and 1 5th place vote. I said that right, 4th and 5th place. So
Brad Marchand, where does he at?
Brad Marchand came in 5th. So Connor McDavid, he was the unanimous MVP. 100 out of 100 people voted for him to be in 1st place, receiving 1,000 points. 2nd place was Austin Matthews, who had 600 points, followed by Nathan McKinnon, Sidney Crosby, and Brad Marchand to round out the top 5. I wanted to bring up that Alexander Barkov came in 6th rather. And that supports my claim that I would draft him top 5 in all NHL draft redo even more.
Yeah. You're crazy. You can't really vote for anyone else when you have 105 points in 56 games played. You can't. There's a reason he was unanimous, and
you would have looked dumber than the guy who didn't vote for Kirill.
Exactly.
Like
you might have taken your voting privileges away if you don't vote Connor McDavid.
Yeah, I can't believe that anyone would even think about it. He also won. I don't have the voting for the Ted Lindsay. I think that's because it's from the players. It's not like a writers association or anything. He also won the Ted Lindsay, which is the award for the player who is voted on as his peers as the best player in the league. McDavid deserves to win it every year. Even when he doesn't win the Hart Trophy, there are going to be years where he doesn't win the Hart Trophy. Like a guy like that year, Taylor Hall led the Devils to the playoffs, but he had 50 more points than the guy in second place on the team. Stories like that will happen throughout McDavid's career. He's not going to win the Hart Trophy every year, but he should win the Ted Lindsay Trophy every year because his peers should believe he's the best player that they played against that season.
Yeah, unless injuries happen or another guy.
Of course, yes.
Or if another guy just steps up and is dominant like that.
Like Shane Wright or Jack Hughes
or Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised. Nathan McKinnon's got a Hart Trophy lined up and maybe a Ted Lindsay, but I don't know. It's long careers that we get to watch, so lucky us.
Absolutely. Honestly, we are so lucky to be living today. Like I always consider myself fortunate that there was a time where Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, and Tom Brady all played in the NFL at the same time. That would be like if LeBron, Larry Bird, and Michael Jordan all played in the NBA at the same time. Like just the 3 best players ever playing at the same time. Like that's awesome. So we're not there with hockey, but I think there's more talent ever right now. And the Hart Trophy proves it because a guy like Barkov coming in 6th, and me and you can argue. And the fact that you don't think he's a top 5 draft pick if the league is redone is just proof of how good the league is because the guy you would replace him with is probably also very good. Like, you know.
Yeah, I personally would just rather like Nikita Kucherov or something. It's very close. I'm not saying Barkov wouldn't go like top 10, but I
also say it to like try and get people to realize how good he is.
Yeah, and I know how good he is. I know.
Yeah. So next is the Vezina Trophy. And you can look back at last week's show, and our only debate came in the Vezina Trophy discussion. And Joey tried to, make the claim that Philip Grubauer was the easy winner, and there was no chance that anyone else other than him was going to win. He actually came in 3rd with 36 points. In 2nd place was Andrei Vasilevsky of the Tampa Bay Lightning with 99 points. And in 1st place was Vegas Golden Knights goaltender Marc-Andre Fleury, who came in 1st place with 108 points. I was right. You were 1. Thoughts?
I was what?
You were wrong.
Yeah, speak up. I was wrong, and I will still fight. They got it wrong. You look at these numbers, and I don't understand how they give it to Fleury over Grubauer. I don't get it. Philip Grubauer had a .922 save percentage. Yeah, Fleury had the .928, .006 better. Philip Grubauer had the better goals against average, 1.95. Fleury had the 1.98, so that's .03 better. Grubauer had 4 more games played and 4 more wins.
If Tuukka Rask gives up 3 goals...
Tuukka Rask was not involved.
No. Hear me out. If Tuukka Rask gives up 3 goals because his team played ass-cheek defense in front of him, but he made 50 saves, his save percentage is higher, but his goals against average is 3, which isn't that good. Or let's take it even one step further. Let's say he gives up 4 goals on 55 shots. He makes 51 saves on 55 shots. His goals against average is an ass 4. Bad. But his save percentage is like 920 something. Elite. I don't want to hear anything about goals against average, especially when you look at the 2 teams they played on. Colorado was the best regular season team.
He played 4 more games and had 4 more wins. In Colorado, they won the President's Trophy in the final game of the season, beating the Los Angeles Kings to take the President's Trophy away from the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make my guy sound better.
Yeah, no.
Well, guys, 5 minutes each for fighting.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm just trying to make my guy sound better. But,
And the fact that Vasilevsky came in second's a joke too.
well, I mean, Vasilevsky is probably the best goalie in the world.
I'm not saying he's not. He's, we're seeing it right now. We probably have one of the best playoff goalie matchups we'll ever see.
Final matchups.
Yeah, exactly. Andre Vasilevsky versus Carey Price. But I mean, I think we both agreed that Vasilevsky was going to come in third, and the fact that he came in second, I just feel like it was a major screw job over Philip Grubauer. I think he was the best goalie, and we could argue all day until we're blue in the face. These top three goalies have been probably the top three closest battle for the Vezina Trophy we've had in years. So, I mean, it's fun. I love it. I just think Grubauer should have won it. I like Grubauer the best. I think he was the best, and I'm not just saying that, but good stuff from the goalies.
More like Philip Screwbauer.
He did. He got Philip Screwbauer is what he did.
Only 7 goaltenders received any top 3. They only do 3 for the goalie, the Vezina Trophy. Only 7 guys got votes. Coming in 7th place was Mike Smith. 6th was UC Saros. 5th was Semyon Varlamov. And 4th was Connor Hellebuck. So,
defending Vezina champion.
Yeah, I'm happy Fleury got one, because now anybody who tries, I would have argued with you before, but anybody who tries to tell me that he's not a Hall of Famer they're getting the I don't watch hockey card from me if they try to tell me Marc-Andre Fleury is not a Hall of Famer, because he's got the 3 cups, but he wasn't in net for all 3 of them. He split with Murray for 2 of them, and he won the 1 all on his own. He's been dominant with Vegas. I'm happy he finally got one.
Yeah, I don't think he's one of the best goalies of the modern era.
He's 3rd all time in wins.
Yeah, he's a sure shot Hall of Famer. And he's never won the Vezina, so maybe that's why he got the votes. Philip Grubauer's got a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Philip Grubauer win one day. I'm happy Fleury finally got his. He deserves to have a Vezina trophy on his resume when you go to his hockey reference page. Did you see Robin Lehner's tweet?
I did not.
Robin Lehner posted a tweet congratulating Marc-Andre Fleury. For those who don't know, Robin Lehner he doesn't split time. He didn't split time with Fleury this year due to COVID and other injury issues. But next year and going forward, they will split time. He's also an elite goalie in Vegas. And he tagged Fleury's agent, Alan Walsh, asking if there was magic in that sword. And for those who don't know, last year when Fleury was replaced by Lehner in the playoffs, his agent Walsh put Peter DeBoer's name on a sword and drew it into the back of Marc-Andre Fleury. So great stuff from Robin Lehner there. That was funny.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good to see them having fun with it. The awards as a whole, good to see.
Yeah, and here's the tweet right here. We got one more award, don't we?
Yes, the Norris Trophy.
You almost forgot. Didn't you almost forget one last time when we were previewing them?
I just don't want to admit that a New York Ranger player did something good.
Well, yeah, but we both saw it coming. I mean, credit to us.
Yeah, and we would have gotten argued with. People are mad online that Victor Hedman didn't win, and he came in 3rd.
I didn't think it was really that close.
Me either. I would not have nominated Hedman at all. Hedman would have came in 5th on my ballot. I would have nominated McAvoy and put him 3rd.
I mean, we know, we've said it, we've complained about it, how much they take points. They take offensive numbers into consideration for the best defenseman in the league.
Yes, well, being a quarterback on a power play and leading a rush, that's part of being a defenseman.
Yeah, it is. But they put a lot of stock in, the high point scoring defense.
But I think they got it right this year by naming Adam Fox of the New York Rangers the winner of the Norris Trophy in 2021. I truly do. His points are great, but he's also so good in his own end. He's only 23. This was his 2nd season in the NHL. So the sky's the limit for this guy. Cale Makar came in 2nd, Hedman 3rd, Dougie Hamilton 4th, and Charlie McAvoy 5th. I would have voted McAvoy 3rd. I'm sure you would have as well. But definitely fun to see the youngsters kind of taking over here.
Yeah, Fox had 47 points in 55 games played as a defenseman in his sophomore year. So there's more to come from this kid. And like you said, aside from Victor Hedman, who's not necessarily super old, but
No,
those top 5, like, what a young group of elite up and coming leaders and backbones to their organization defensively. So
absolutely.
two of them are some of my favorite players in the league.
Cale Makar and McAvoy.
Yeah.
Dougie Hamilton was a Bruin there for a minute too. He's actually a free agent. He is free to sign with any team he'd like, starting on, I want to say it's the 30th.
Yeah, if only, the Blackhawks didn't allow people accused of sexual misconduct like
To go for a job with children.
Yeah, maybe Dougie would want to go play there, but who knows?
Be a good fit for him because their offensive attack, like under Jeremy Colleton, definitely fits his play style, I would say, and just pure hockey talk.
That's another example. Like I said, like, are any of these free agents looking at this team as a target destination for them right now while they're undergoing all of this drama?
Yep.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely. It's crazy. And then the last bit of news is Don Granato was hired to be the Sabres head coach. They're probably going to suck again. So it's really a non-story to me because he's just going back there. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that as they move back to being a division rival for you again next season too.
Yeah. I mean, who really knows? We'll see how this works out. I feel like Don Granato, we've heard the name. I'm trying to find it. Did he do anything with the Olympics for Team USA?
I believe he was their head coach when they were not having players.
Is that it, or was it Tony Granato?
Maybe.
I don't know if there's a relation there or what. That's definitely I'll do some more research on that and find out. But the last name Granato, I just I'm linking it to a Team USA.
Yeah, and Cami Granato is his wife, and she's like into things with Wisconsin, I want to say, and like the women's game. So,
yeah, from 2013 to 16, he was the head coach of USA Hockey National Team Development Program. But yeah, I want to say that
they're definitely into the USA like hockey. That's why the Sabres hired him, because not many teams are more into it than them, like Buffalo.
Yeah, exactly. I believe Tony Granato. Yeah, I'm seeing he was the head coach of Team USA in the 2018 U.S. Men's Olympics team. Not sure is there a relation there between him and? I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not sure, actually. That's a great question.
Interesting stuff. I can't wait for the Olympics. That's all that made me think of. I really don't care about the Sabres, but I'm excited for the Olympics.
Buffalo's the second biggest dumpster fire behind the Blackhawks.
Yeah. Granato is the brother of Cami and Tony.
There you go. You want to send it over to period number 3 and talk about the Stanley Cup final?
Let's do it. That's your fault. That's your fault. You went too quick. You
Yes.
See, our fabulous producer Aldo. I mean, he was looking stuff up. He was doing research for me on Tony Granato, putting it on the screen, and then you just send it over to period 3. You know all the shit he's got to click, I'm sure. So
you guys should kiss. Stanley Cup final. The Montreal Canadiens and the Tampa Bay Lightning. That became a thing in between our last show and now. So the Lightning ended up making it over the New York Islanders by beating them in Game 7. And the Montreal Canadiens won Game 6 in overtime to advance to their first Stanley Cup final in 28 years. Then on Monday night, the Lightning defeated the Habs 5-1. Got any thoughts on the series so far?
Series so far. First, I just want to say congratulations to both teams on making it to the Stanley Cup final. Vegas, the Islanders. There's a reason they were where they were, but Montreal keeps surprising everyone, and Tampa just keeps doing their thing. The Islanders stink. I don't feel bad for them at all. Who knows? I expect Montreal to, play better than they did in game 1. It was a 5-1 win for the Tampa Bay Lightning, but at the same time, Tampa Bay, like, this is, you could say what you want about Montreal. Is this the first time they played a team as dominant as Tampa Bay? Like, yeah, Vegas is good, but I don't know. Tampa Bay, they are a hockey team, and when they're playing, they are flawless.
I couldn't agree more. It's honestly, people are mad at them for being over the cap by like 20 million. They learned from the Hawks. They were upset in 2015, according to reports, that the Blackhawks let Patrick Kane stay off the books until the playoffs started. They got Vermette, they got Dale Weish and Fleischman, and who was the Chemo Timonen. They got themselves well over the cap if you include Kane, and he came back for playoffs, and they were like 5 or 6 mil over the cap. So Tampa Bay, when they found out Kucherov was hurt, they were like, why not us? And they did nothing against the rules.
No, yeah, I don't hate it one bit. I don't hate it one bit. You play the cards that are dealt to you, and you don't like it. I mean, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah. Braden Point. He's got 14 goals. Only Crosby and Ovechkin have ever scored 15 in one playoff series or one playoff year. Active players. Crosby and Ovechkin, only ones to ever reach 15. Braden Point's a goal away. You figure he'll get there. I mean, this guy's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's insane what these guys are doing. Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov specifically. But talking about Point and his goals, like I said, like, you can say that about any team's top guy, that this team isn't there without their top guys. But I mean, they're not in the Stanley Cup final if Braden Point's not doing what he's doing. Everyone's talking about Nikita Kucherov being hurt and taking the year off, and Steven Stamkos getting hurt at the end and coming back over the cap. Braden Point's been there all along, and he's, one of their best players in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, Kucherov does deserve some credit because he has 7 goals and 23 assists for 30 points through one game of the final. And he joins one Wayne Gretzky. Ever heard of him? You heard of him?
I think so. Isn't he a TNT reporter? Doesn't he work for TNT?
And then Penguins owner Mario Lemieux and Nikita Kucherov are the only 3 players in NHL history to have 30 points in the playoffs in back-to-back seasons. So it's quite the list. This guy is unbelievable. He's the best winger in the NHL.
Yeah, and you still would draft Barkov over him.
Yeah.
You're crazy. Get out of here. Get out of here.
I'm sorry, I would. The two-way centerman that gets 20 less points. Yeah.
20 less points, dude, at 130.
He's not going to do that again.
You don't know. He's got 30 in a playoff series after not playing in a year.
I guess. I mean,
yeah, I guess.
You make a good point.
I'm okay with you taking Barkov 6th, 7th. Don't disrespect Nikita Kucherov like that. This dude is a back-to-back, and he is a back-to-back. I'll say it now, a Stanley Cup champion back-to-back. Montreal doesn't stand a fucking chance. 5. This time next week, go ahead. I know you have it written down. Ask me your question you wanted to ask me about going into Game 5 this time next week.
Yeah, we'll our next show next week, next Wednesday at 2:00, we will be heading into Game 5.
That will be the Stanley Cup will be in the building. The Tampa Bay Lightning will win the Stanley Cup a week from today. Lightning in 5. That's my answer to that.
Wow. It's quite the bold claim. I was going to actually have you preview Game 2 first, but you jumped to the conclusion. So Joey thinks they're going to win Game 2.
I don't even know which game that Montreal is going to win. I'm just not picking a sweep because they'll get one, right? But I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if the cup is done by the time our show happens next.
It's very possible. But every time we count out the Habs, they do something crazy to go off and prove that they belong, and we'll see.
They haven't met their match like the Tampa Bay Lightning yet.
Florida took them to the brink.
Florida knew what they were going into. They've seen the Lightning. They've dealt with the Lightning. They know all about the Tampa Bay Lightning. Montreal, those people up there in Canada and those French-speaking people, They don't know about the Tampa Bay Lightning.
I will say the Carolina Hurricanes are probably the best team on paper that they played, and they were probably the easiest team. It's the only time they didn't go to 7. I also think being battle tested and having 2 out of 3 7-game series is an advantage for the Lightning.
The Canadians didn't have short. They had the one short series against Winnipeg, but I mean, they got Game 7.
The Vegas one was big.
That
series, and then the
Game 7 against Toronto.
Yeah, and being down 3-1.
Yeah, which you're carrying that momentum all the way to the Stanley Cup. You're going to ride it as long as you can, and I do think that has a big part of it. There's no coincidence they sweep the next series after coming back 3-1. They beat the Vegas Golden Knights in the next round. They've met their match.
I'm getting to the point where I feel like everybody met their match against the Lightning. They're that good.
They are, when playing good, and I'm not saying they're perfect every night. That's you. Some games you're just not there, but when perfect, when playing their game and sticking to your system, you know, the goaltending's there, the defense is there, your guys are scoring, your top guys are playing good. They are the best team I've ever seen with my eyes. They are very, very, very hard to beat when playing it to the top of their game. There was a game they were playing on top of it against the New York Islanders, and the Islanders were playing like piss poor. What happened in that game? The Lightning dropped 8 goals. It was like an 8-1 final. That was an example of the Lightning playing at their best and the Islanders not showing up. That's what happens. You look at game 1 of the Stanley Cup final. That's an example of Montreal Canadiens, you know, showing up because it wasn't necessarily a blowout all game. And Tampa Bay Lightning coming to play. That's what it's going to be like. You have to catch the Tampa Bay Lightning on an off night, and you need to be playing at your best. And that's not something that happens very often.
You called the Avalanche the best team you've ever seen, too. So which is it?
No, the Avalanche were like one of the best teams. They had the best line.
Kucherov not playing in the regular season was huge.
Yeah. The Colorado Avalanche were the best team. The Tampa Bay Lightning were a great team in the regular season. But now you just added $18 million over the salary cap. You give the Boston Bruins $18 million to spend and have a playoff series with. Yeah, they're going to probably be one of the best teams in the league. I'm not saying that, but you have to give credit to where credit's due. This group of guys is nearly unbeatable.
Yeah. Listen, I'm just trying to get you to expand. I agree with everything you're saying. The Tampa Bay Lightning, when you have Steven Stamkos as your 5th best player, you're incredible because he'd be the best player on most teams. He's, one of my questions I have for you is if you're happy for him. I'm so stoked for this guy that he finally is just one of the guys and he looks healthy. He's dominant especially on the power play with that shot. I would just love to hear you go off on Steven Stamkos in a good way.
Yeah. One of the few players he scored 60 goals early in his career. And one of the biggest heartbreaking moments of me ever watching was Veterans Day in 2014, I believe it was, or 2015, when Steven Stamkos breaks his leg in half against Boston, and he's out for the year. No one knows if he'll ever skate the same. He finally comes back, and he's good, and now he's finally, he dealt with a lot of other injuries. He had knee problems. He's finally back to, I believe, 110%, and we're seeing it. And you can't be anything but happy for a guy like Steven Stamkos.
Yeah, and the other one I was going to ask, are you happy that Carey Price finally gets to play in the Stanley Cup final, even though it might not go his way?
Absolutely. He's getting screwed. I've always loved Carey Price. He would have a legitimate – he still could win the Cup. I mean, I'm talking high about Tampa Bay, but let's be honest, anything could happen. He deserves a Stanley Cup. Will it happen this year? I don't think so, but I mean, Carey Price deserves to be here more than probably any goalie in the league.
I couldn't agree more. So you have the Cup at least making it the series to our next show?
Yeah, 5.
And you think the Lightning are going to be up 3-1 going into next Wednesday?
Yeah.
All right, stealing one in Montreal?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I actually wouldn't be surprised if Montreal ties it tonight.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not. That's not a prediction. I just wouldn't be surprised if they tie it 1-1 and then Tampa.
I wouldn't be surprised either. I also wouldn't be surprised if in our next show it's 2-2.
Yeah,
That's
well, we'll see. Well, I kind of want a good Stanley Cup. So
Me too.
Another quick thing about the Lightning, you look at all the teams, all those dominant teams that have won the Cup. Even early in the decade, the Blackhawks, the Kings, the Bruins, they all had. We always talked about this. You have that elite guy up front, whether it be Jonathan Toews, Patrice Bergeron, Anze Kopitar, Sidney Crosby, and then you have that elite guy on the defense, Duncan Keith, Chris Letang, Drew Doughty,
Pietrangelo.
Yeah, and then you got the guy in net. You got Corey Crawford or Anthony Niemi, Marc-Andre Fleury,
Jonathan Quick.
Jonathan Quick. You look at the Tampa Bay Lightning. What did we just talk about for Vezina? We talk about Andrei Vasilevsky coming in second. We talked about Victor Hedman coming in second for the Norris.
Third.
And I thought you said second.
Cale Makar came in second.
Whatever. Doesn't matter.
No, I get what you're saying. They have that top guy, and having the second line center really helps too.
Exactly.
The Blackhawks, they really didn't have like an elite second line center. They made Andrew Shaw and an older Brad Richards work. But you think about Washington, it was Backstrom and Kuznetsov, Carter and Kopitar in Los Angeles. What are they in Pittsburgh? Crosby and Malkin. In Tampa Bay, there's Braden Point and Steven Stamkos. So,
exactly. And not even to mention Nikita Kucherov. It doesn't even have to be a center. Nikita Kucherov is their best guy. So
when your best player is a winger, but you're still very deep at center, you have a recipe for success.
Exactly. They have the formula that we've always called it, having that elite defenseman, an elite goalie, and an elite center. They have that times two, because I say elite. They are elite. It's not like we're talking about some of those other teams. They had the good goalies, but was Jonathan Quick up for the Vezina? Was Drew Doughty up for the Norris?
No, they Quick won playoff MVP, the Conn Smythe Trophy.
Yeah, I get that, but they were just elite players. We might be looking at some of the best players at their position on one team.
Okay, let me ask you this really quick before we go. Carey Price, Nikita Kucherov, Braden Point. Did I just name the Conn Smythe Trophy winner?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, I just wanted to see if we were on the same page.
100%.
Okay. Is there anything else you have to say about the Stanley Cup final before we head on out of here?
Go Bolts.
You're rooting for the Lightning.
Oh yeah. Why would I not root for the Lightning?
I don't know. Maybe to spice up your life a little bit. Maybe the Habs winning the Cup will light some extra fire under the Bruins' ass to make a fuck you move this summer, because the Bruins could go for a fuck you move. When I say
we're gonna sign Taylor Hall.
When I say a fuck you move, I mean hey, we're so close. If we make one ginormous move, we'll be a legit threat to win the Cup. And I believe the Bruins are a fuck you move away from winning the Stanley Cup. Jack Eichel, Seth Jones, something like that.
I don't know. What if Dougie comes back or something? I don't know.
Help. That would absolutely help.
Yeah. I
just don't know if that ship has sailed in his mind. That's the only thing, because that's on him.
I also think there was more. He was an idiot and wanted to go, but I don't think there's remorse with the organization in him much.
No, probably.
You look at the group of guys that he'd be coming to, the respectable bunch of Patrice Bergeron. He doesn't even really know Charlie McAvoy, I'm sure. The whole defense is different. Zdeno's gone, and him and Zdeno got along great. So,
do you want an update on the Cubs game?
Did they blow it? What's the score?
It was 7-0 Cubs after the first half of the first inning.
Yeah.
It's 10-7 Brewers, and they have the bases loaded with one out.
Make sure you tune in tomorrow, 2 p.m., Crosstown Crosstalk. We'll be talking all about it.
That's what I was getting into. If you are a listener of this show and you enjoy hearing me and Joey sound like complete morons for an hour and a half, Crosstown Crosstalk is the best place where you can go and listen to us do the exact same thing, but for baseball. We're going to talk about the White Sox and how they look like they're starting to play a little bit better after their little funk. The Cubs, big trouble. If they lose this game, they will then be 6 games back of the Milwaukee Brewers. So Make sure you come for a complete breakdown of that and all things MLB related. We got lots to talk about. Did you enjoy today's show?
Of course I did.
I thought it was very good. I encourage everyone to go to deepdishtees.com/barroom where you can purchase hats, coffee mugs, water containers, t-shirts, hoodies, anything you want with our logo on it. I'm hoping to see some Crosstown Crosstalk stuff soon because I just love that logo with the mixture of the two teams. But the Bardown Blackhawk Talk, on there, it says Bardown Talking Hockey. So make sure you check out all that type of merch. And make sure you follow at Joey Parisi on Twitter, at Vinny Parisi on Twitter. Is there anything you'd like to say before we head on out?
Nope. I think we've talked about everything. We had a great show. We're looking forward to Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final, and we'll see what next week brings.
Yeah, and I have a feeling me and Joey are going to be watching that Stanley Cup Final Game 2 on our phone. He doesn't know it yet, but I have a feeling watching it on our phone is going to be the best bet tonight.
Tonight, Stanley Cup Final?
Yeah, game number 2.
I don't know. I don't think I was not going to be home, but
yeah, I don't know. Make sure you follow at Joey Parisi on Twitter, at Vinny Parisi on Twitter one more time. Thanks for listening.
Huh.